Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new episode of a new project. Before I introduce my new project, I want to give you an update on project LS400. The Lexus LS400 has been running fine and I've enjoyed every single one of the 3,500 kilometers I've been driving in that car. It's a fantastic car. It has some issues, and the one issue is that you need to look into the transmission because it is stuttering under acceleration. I have a squealing brake, and since the first time in my ownership the car has been living outdoors and has to bear through rainstorms and all, and there's a lot of moisture getting inside the car, and I think that's down to the weather stripping and the moisture barriers in the right hand side doors. And those are the two things I wanted to do, but I had the opportunity to get a car out in August, so I went it out and I had planned to do that in this winter period. I will do that. There will be new episodes coming, but it's just a matter of time that I park the car indoors again. Since I like making these videos and since I like working on cars, I thought, well, what do? Continue working on the Lexus and have not much footage because there's all those small things I need to do. No, I decided to buy another project car, and I didn't want to go down the same route as I did with the Lexus. It was clear to me I wanted to work on a Japanese car, and since I already worked on a Toyota product, on a green car and on a 94 car, I decided I wanted to do something completely different. So I bought a new project car, and if you want to guess what it is, you've seen the thumbnail and want to place your guesses, you can do that now. Put it down in the comment box what you think I bought, if you want to. I have a few hints. It's a Toyota product, it's green, and it's from 94. Well, I'll get behind the camera and show you what I've bought. There it is, folks. This is my 1994 Toyota Starlet. The Lexus LS400 was the largest product Toyota had on sale in 1994 over here in the Netherlands. And this was the smallest car in their lineup. And this is what I recently bought. Now, as you can see, it takes up significantly less room than the LS400. I have a meter to spare in front, and the LS reached up to here and was this wide, so I have a lot more room to work on. Well, this is the PA generation of the Toyota Starlet, and I don't know that much about this car just yet. This is the third generation, if I'm not mistaken, and well, I bought it just last Saturday. I drove it home. It has a valid MOT. It's driving really well. I'm gonna show you around in a minute. And well, most of the work will be cosmetic work. And as you can see, it has a very funky paint job and it has some minor issues I want to show you. So let me pick up the camera and let's start under the hood. And maybe some eagle-eyed viewer noticed something on the roof. That's where one of the main problems was. So under the hood is Toyota's famous 1.3 liter 2E engine. And since this one has fuel injection, it has multi-port fuel injection, this is the 2E-E engine. It doesn't have power steering. Most of these cars came with a 5-speed manual gearbox. This one has a 3-speed ISN automatic gearbox. As you can see, the battery is currently out because that was on its way out. I had it tested this morning and it was going bad, so I bought a new one. And that's one of the benefits of owning a smaller car and a smaller Toyota instead of a large Lexus. Parts are significantly cheaper. When I drove it home, it just drove perfectly. It went straight ahead when I had my hands off the steering wheel. It brakes well, it doesn't pull to the left or the right, and almost everything is working. In the interior there are only two light bulbs that are bad. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. And I noticed that the coolant temperature gauge doesn't come from its resting position, and there was very little heat coming from the heater inside the car. And I'm pretty sure that the thermostat stays open, so I already went to the car parts store and I bought a new thermostat. So that's one of the things that's going in. The new battery is going in. But other than that, this car is very well maintained. The friendly lady that sold it to me had kept all the invoices from her 5 years of ownership, and just 500 kilometers ago it had an oil change. There's a brand spanking new oil filter on here. It has new tires, it has an alignment. Everything, all important basic maintenance has been done. So there's clean oil in there, and I checked the transmission oil. That's looking good. It's a bit colored. Maybe I'm gonna do a flush. Not sure yet. We'll see. So there's not much work to do under the hood other than cleaning it up and, well, replace the thermostat and the battery. That's basically it. Okay, close the hood for now. One of the bigger problems the car had is that the sunroof was leaking, and that poor lady that sold me the car forgot to cover it. She says usually when it starts raining I put a cover on there so it doesn't get wet on the interior. And last Saturday when we got it, she forgot it. It had rained and the seats were wet, so I drove it home. I was sitting on a plastic bag and that worked for me. Oh, let's put on a little bit more light. Here's a view to the back. So I already went ahead yesterday. That's me, had some spare time. And the thing is, I hope I can show you with one hand. As you can see, you can lift it up. There's absolutely no sealant under here. So water seeped in along this edge over here. And the strange thing is, they cut it and they didn't put any primer or anything on the roof. And there's absolutely no rust in there. So that's absolutely a miracle. This car is 29 years old, and this was installed either by the Dutch dealership or the Dutch import. It doesn't fall in, but I'll leave that for now. And they didn't give the cut edges any treatment, and it has not been rusting. So that's truly a miracle. Okay, there are some of my tools. This is what it looks on the inside. It looks bad, but there is an edge going on there, and that protects the vinyl. When it's installed, it looks very decent. So here's the odometer reading. Ooh, it's a bit glare. 165, 167, and this car is built in the exact same month as my LS400, and it has done exactly half of the miles of that. Ha! So there it is. It's an automatic 3-speed. There's the radio. Problem is that the illumination in this button doesn't work, and the ventilation panel controls aren't illuminated. And I want to freshen up the instrument panel lights. It's become a bit dark when I zoom in. When you look at the trip meter, you can see the last number. It's white, the decimals. It's a bit dark, so I want to take that apart and clean it up. But other than that, this interior looks really nice. It doesn't smell nice. I currently have my my moisture device that detracts the moisture from the air. So the seats are getting really nice and dry now. They are a bit dirty, and yeah, this final side has a tear in it. I need to fix that. Let's see if we get it out. Okay, let's open up the trunk. It's already released. Let me unplug this. There's the other problem, because the hood struts don't work. See, it falls close, and there is no partial shelf, so that's why I have that broomstick in there. Yeah, there's just a matter of 2 new gas struts and we're good to go over here. Yeah, and find a partial shelf maybe. Okay, it has a very funky paint job because someone has painted this front fender. Don't know why. What I do know that these fenders are original to the car, and if you look up close, there is absolutely no rust in here. You can see this bent away a little bit. I did that yesterday. I washed the car by hand, and there was this much mud hiding in this corner over here. And over the course of 29, almost 30 years, you would expect all that mud to cause a lot of rot. There is absolutely no rust in here. I took it out. It was almost a bucket full that came out. There are new all-season tires on here. Not an expensive brand, but that doesn't matter. But when you look inside the wheel well, look over there. That's the factory original body coating, underbody coating. And there's absolutely no rust in here. Let's have a peek alongside the rockers. There's a little bit of surface rust. We go down all the way to the back. If the camera wants to focus. There is no rust, there is no rust, there is no rust. Along the rear wheel arch, no rust to be seen. Absolutely no rust. And it's quite a miracle. I mean, this car was 1/5 or maybe even 1/6 of the price of the Lexus, and I just so happened to find the one LS400 that was rusting, and now I get treated with a car that's known for rust problems, and it's absolutely rust free. So maybe I have a good Toyota karma. If you look over there in that corner, and alongside the wheel arches on the inside, there's absolutely no rust. So this is the right hand side of the car. And as you can probably tell by the sheen, it shows much better from this side. This is the rattle can paint job, and they didn't mask it off very well. And there's a striping on here. It has the same on the other side, so that's coming off. Wheel arch over here. Well, it isn't rusty, and there aren't any dents in here. There you can see, I hope it shows on camera, that's the only tiny little rust spot I could find, but that's just surface rust. You notice these small wheels, they are Steelies with plastic hubcaps. I want to get them repainted so they look nice. Now let's have a peek at this rocker. Look, that's just some surface rust along the pinch weld. You get over here, there's a little bit more rust, but it's just surface rust, it's not rot. Yeah, and that's the exact same spot where the pinch weld on the LS400 was bent. And probably this fender will be filled with mud up to here. There you are. That's the wrong marker, but I went to the pick and pull a few years ago to get a couple of indicator repeaters from this model of Starlet, because they are exactly the same on the LS400, and I use the inners, the fittings for the side marker lights on my LS400. So again, weird paint scheme, blue, color matching was done and painted by Stevie and Ray's Body Shop. And this is some kind of wall paint, but underneath here is the original to the car fender. I don't know the heck why they painted it this way, but it is what it is. So this will be my project car for the coming winter time, and since all project cars are either named Project Pinky, Project Karlsruhe, Project LS400, I wanted to do a different name. So the kids and I came up with a name for this car, and we based the name on a remark in the ad. The nice lady that sold the car said, well, it says green on its registration, but it's actually not green, it's mermaid blue. So the kids and I came up with the name Ariel for this car, and from now on this will be Operation Ariel. I hope you like it. So I'm about ready to start. I haven't decided where I'm going to start. I can fix the sunroof first, but I think I'll start off under the hood. That's where I like working the most, It's a simple task, just getting some lines out of the way, drain the coolant, and we should be ready to install the thermostat and then to the sunroof. And then the car will be ready to go out on the road, and I'll take you along. I'm gonna call it quits for tonight, and I'll pick you up the next day. Ooh, those hinges could use a little WD-40. Let me do that first. If you don't lubricate those hinges, a hood during driving can shake around a little bit when those hinges are improperly lubricated or a bit seized. They can cause cracks in that mechanism. This is a whole lot better. Alrighto. Well, first thing to do is to drain the coolant. Let me see if we have a coolant drain. Yes, it's over there. And put the heater in the interior to hot. And that's what it is already. We have a pig down there. There is the drain plug. There's a small hole under there. So when you turn it open, the entire coolant system will drain. It's always easy to lift off these caps so air can get in. And as you can see, it's nice and red, it's clean. So let me put you back on a tripod. Okay, I'll take the air filter out. This is what it looks. It's very clean. Now it wants to give way. There it is. Let me see if that wants to come off. So that didn't just happen. That was already the way it was. And there's a feather attached to it. It's a bit black from soot. Some kind of EGR going on here. I think this is a pre-EGR car, but maybe a bit of backfire. We're gonna look into that. Never throw away the caps from a rattle can. They always may come in handy. Voila! That's not looking too bad. Now I'm gonna try to get the lower radiator hose off. That's one loose. That's the other one. And just like the Lexus, once you have cracked those nuts loose, you can turn them off by hand. And that's the thermostat out. I'm gonna give this a clean, and then it's ready to go back in. So here's the thermostat house. I gave it a little clean, so you can see I've been in there. So I can prove I actually replaced that. And this is the new thermostat. Comes with a rubber seal. It came with two seals actually, but this thermostat is used in a lot of other Toyota models, and those require different seals. So they look the same. Well, this can go back in, and these thermostats have this little flappy thingy. It's loose, goes in the top. That's to bleed air out of the system, and it goes in something like this. It sits like this, so make sure that this goes towards the top, which it does right now. Or better, I can put it in here probably. No, it sits in this rim over here. So there. This can go back on. Well, what's coming up next? Let me try the radiator and get that out. give it a flush at home. Nothing is coming out anymore. So can put some grit over here on the floor. You go there. Imagine doing this on an LS400. It would take me a whole evening. And I was tired, went home, and we're about, I think I'm 30 minutes in, and I already replaced the thermostat. And I think we're having liftoff, and we are. Look down there, those two copper pipes are for the heat exchanger from the automatic transmission. And if you look up close, you can see there's rusty water inside the outlet. So, glad that's out. I'm going to head home. I'm gonna flush the radiator, and I'm going to see if I can find a new intake line. Man, that was a lot of work. Alrighty, I'm back from home, and I got my camera up and running again. Previous scene was filmed with my smartphone. So, there's the radiator, and to my surprise, when I started flushing it, it took 30 seconds, there was some brownish water coming out, and within 30 seconds there was clean water coming out. So it wasn't clogged, and it's very clean on the inside. So I'm gonna reinstall this now. As you can see, I have this taped off. There's ADF in there, and I didn't want any water to get in there. Yeah, hope. Okie dokie. Smooth sailing. Upper radiator hose goes in. We'll have the car running in a minute when the intake line is back on. I found a temporary fix for the intake. I already went online and searched for a replacement part, but they are nowhere to be found. They're not in production anymore. So then I remembered there is this tape that can seal all sorts of lining, even this cracked hose. I may have a suitable thingy for that. When I cut this off, this will work too. Yeah, and that's going to work too. There's a PCV breather valve. Is this a... No, it's not a non-return valve. Anywho, what do I need to do now? I think one time around the circumference is enough. Gonna measure it out roughly. I'm pretty sure this won't leak. We'll see how we fix this later, and if this works, it works. Probably this has been leaking for quite a while. So let me put my gloves back on. This goes underneath there. You're good to go. Back on. Air filter itself goes in. Take line first. There are alignment marks on there, 2 arrows, one here, one there, that need to align. Okay, it's time for the new battery to go in. That's the first big expense of this car. This, folks, is what we call a temporary solution. Just gonna put it in for now and later find a better solution. I must say, we're really curious to see what the new battery does. As I said, the old one was tested and the car had trouble starting. You can hear the starter solenoid clicking, but I really hope it starts up faster than it did. Oh yes. So I'm going to let the car run right now and then can see if there's anything leaking. Let it heat up and open up a door. Okay folks, things are looking really well. I'm gonna check the temperature. Oh, it's getting nice and warm in here. Great. Yeah, it's where it should be. So that is a success. So it's time to tackle the roof, and while I'm looking at this I can see this small, they are paint flakes. They are flaking off, so I have to do something with this rim over here too. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna lift the sunroof out, and then I'm gonna take a look at the cut line, and I think I'll use a rust reformer on the edges to prevent it from rusting. It's actually a miracle that it's not rusting right now after nearly 30 years. So, sure not to drop it. It isn't heavy. Here's the sunroof. That's the front. And yeah, the paint is flaking. And I'm not sure if that's the frame underneath here. Or it's aluminium or anything. Oh yeah, and there's a moss growing on there, or how do you call it, lichen. So that needs to come off and be cleaned. So this is going to be painted. I will paint this because now it's out, and if I have to paint it I have to break the seal again. That does mean there's a new sealant going in. So let's see if it's safe to put it on its glass side. One moment please. The Starlet came with a boatload of floor mats in the trunk, so we're gonna put them to use straight away. And by the way, those are nice clean mats, so there it is. And it's extremely dirty, I can see, so it hasn't been cleaned for a while. Yeah, can you see? I can draw clean lines in there. So that triggers my OCD. I want to clean it right away. So now it's time for me to figure out how this mechanism works. So this is the rear, and you can see it just opens. It's not pulled down completely, and I think it should pull down in its weather stripping a bit more, and I think it's mostly down due to the mechanism in here. And I think this is a cable based system, because they usually are. Alrighty folks, for you it's the next scene, for me it's a week later. I had a wonderful road trip, we had a nice car, the new Mazda CX-5 mild hybrid, we had great weathers and we drove on beautiful roads. What else do you want? Well, I needed to clear my head because I had to start working again yesterday, and after 2 days of working, yeah, I really need to clear my head. So we're back at work on the Starlet. What I did, I cleaned this, sealed this weather stripping, and on the edge it sits in, and I put it in using this RTV underneath there, and I used and I used a substantial amount, so hopefully the seal sits a little bit higher, so that when the glass closes it's a bit more under compression and it seals better. I also wanted to treat this edge over here, but I don't have time for cosmetics right now. It needs to be technically functional. So while this is curing, we're going back to the car, and I want to treat the cut line in the roof with some rust reformer. There are some small spots of rust, and I want to address that before I put the roof back in. So let's head over to the car. I'm using the trusty old Brunax rust reformer, rust converter on there. And you heard me say earlier in this episode that I was surprised that there wasn't any rust on this edge. I thought I saw some flash rust on this edge, but actually it's primer, and that held up really well. I also tried to clean the inside that meets this surface of the window, but That stuff was so brittle and hard to get off. I feared I might damage the frame itself, and I didn't want to run that risk. So this is what we'll do. So now this entire edge is treated with rust reformer. Now there is a small spot on the inside here where there is a little bit of rust. I'm gonna pick up the camera and show you. So that's the right hand side of the car, and over here is a strut, a brace. As you can see, there's a little bit of rust on the glue, and then I'm gonna scrape this off and treat it with rust reformer. And also on the inside of the roof skin, there are these small spots, so I'm gonna treat them next. It's the following day, and I've tried to fix the sliding tilting mechanism of the sunroof, but unfortunately it's been repaired once before and it has so much damage it won't even close. So I broke off a piece of a mechanism. I tried to glue it with epoxy glue, it didn't work, but I have to get the car out, and what I'm going to do is just put some RTV on the edge of the sunroof frame and then slide it in. And to make it watertight and to keep it down, I'm gonna use black duct tape. I have to work and think fast at this moment, so that'll be my next step. I got RTV all over my hands. Good thing I'm wearing gloves. So let's see if we can get this into place. Okay, damage the paint a little bit over here, but it's not too bad. Okay. Okie dokie, well, flexes a bit here, but push it down so the RTV is seated. It oozes out a bit here and there. Now I have to install the bracket on the inside that pulls it down. So this is the frame and support that goes on the inside, and the headliner is currently up, and that's glued in between here and there. So my first step will be to glue the headliner back into place. So this is the bezel that goes on the inside, and it just clicks in place on the metal frame. I'm gonna put it aside. Let me put it over there. Works really, really well. You can put a lot of stress on the headliner, but once I push it down, it sticks very nicely to this frame. Okay, well, at least we have that sunroof in right now. So I'm not sure what to do next. I think I leave the RTV to dry. And now I'm just going to get out and get a black duct tape so I can tape this off. Okie dokie, went to the store. I have black duct tape, I have my knife at hand, and I figured I need to find something a little bit heavy to push down on this corner here. Yeah, that's better. Okie dokie. So I think I'm done. So the car is basically finished for now, so it is ready to go out. There's only one thing I want to do in this rear fender along the wheel arch. I want to spray some underbody coating, or do you call it a hollow section wax, to prevent it from rusting. It isn't rusting at this moment and I want to keep it that way, so that's what I'm going to do. So I already went through this before I put the car inside with the pressure cleaner, pressure washer, and I felt second time there is this panel over here to cover up the fuel filler line. It's running on empty, but at least there's something in here. So now I'm gonna get the car out, back it up, back in, and repeat the same on the other side. Ooh, it smells like glue. And with that, I think we are ready to go out on the road.